Welcome back, everyone, to the Word Traction podcast. This is this is Corrupt Connections, but a special FIFA. Trump has a ticket. Trump has the golden ticket edition. We um, we had the pleasure of covering FIFA in an episode a couple months ago, because as we're all aware, the only organization that can vie for corrupt supremacy with the Trump organization internationally, intergalactically, is FIFA. And coming off of the last two FIFA World Cup events, we're talking about Russia and then Qatar or Qatar, depending on who your English teacher is or your geography teacher. And the gutter with the essentially the slave labor brought in from various places, including India and Bangladesh, workers that were so desperate for the paycheck that they were taking their lives in their own hands. Uh, don't know if they had any expectation that FIFA was going to look out for them or the Qatari government. Neither happened, and we will never know. It's starting to rain right now, but I'm gonna play through that the push the camera under the. Yeah, we'll see how that works. That we'll never know the full extent, the death toll to construct the venues in the last World Cup event. And then in Russia, we're not going to know shit because it's all about your friend Vladimir Putin and his world. So, but for Trump, the choice was made back when he was Trump 1.0 that he would, that the U.S. would have. We never thought that Trump would be here to see this World Cup. But here he is back in power again and kind of catching his own fly ball and an invitation to get another huge payday personally. Because uh, if it wasn't enough that FIFA itself is padding Donald Trump's pockets, I'm going to push this back one more time to keep it out of the rain, perhaps. Um, there is an added benefit that he has, that he is the Obama administration, the Obama DOJ, indicted 15 people, the number that eventually grew to 30, who were indicted uh, uh, with connections to FIFA back 1 year before. I guess that was probably in 2014. And a lot of those cases kind of meandered. People, some were convicted, some were sentenced, some were fined, and you know how that goes. But some of the cases lingered. And the fun fact is that now that Trump 2.0 is back in, Trump is cleaning it up. And in fact, they're saying in in words in English in press releases that that's this kind of crime is not our main focus. Financial crime is not our main focus. We're thinking of other things like culture wars in Minnesota. I mean, pick your particular embarrassment. So they one gentleman, a couple of gentlemen from Argentina. So there's the President Melee connection too, where we sent him $20 billion to bail him out of his latest financial crisis. And the last few, they found a tame judge in the Eastern District of New York named Chen, who was actually an Obama appointee, but she is doing the work of the Trump regime. and they cut one guy loose less than a week ago by instructing their Justice Department to ask the judge to dismiss with prejudice, and she promptly did so. And there were two other brothers, and this scheme that they were working was the who do you know scheme as far as broadcast rights for both FIFA events and other Copa del Sud, other large international, predominantly soccer/football events, and the broadcasting rights, which are very profitable. And think about it: this last gentleman that was cut loose just this past week was a former Fox executive who was using his connections to incentivize particular networks to bid on the FIFA games, and then there would be sort of the secret handshake club when those ad revenues came in for FIFA. As you've probably heard, this whole this soccer slash football game has become pretty popular around the world, so the viewership is very high. Just, I mean, when you think about viewership in China, what they'll allow to happen, I'm not really sure, but it's a it's a massive deal for sponsors and advertisers. It isn't just the rights to broadcast the game itself; it's all of the ad revenue. So they were just shaking each other's hands behind the back, playing pocket pool and all sorts of things to funnel uh, ad revenue payoffs. It was magnificent. So these two brothers, whose name I'll mispronounce badly, but no, two brothers from Argentina who were indicted. The Argentinian government refused to extradite them to the United States. Then Donald Trump came back in and told his friend Maley, no, 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 don't worry about it. You don't got to send anybody. You don't got to do shit. And so all of a sudden, of their own volition, maybe, these two brothers show up in New York, and they're about to walk in and out of court in about 5 minutes. And just the turnstile continues, and they will make their appropriate payoffs, their gratuities to the Trump administration, to the perhaps to the DA's office. I'm not certain, but it's and they're going to wind down and then undo retroactively many convictions related to this principle, even though they said to the judge that we're going to let those that were already convicted, let those convictions stand. But they've said the same thing over and over again to the judges to kind of buy themselves some plausible deniability. And then they come back and chip away at them a couple a month. And because they have to make sure that the payoff clears their account before they walk into court and direct district their local district attorney to request that the judge dismiss with prejudice. So it is a production, but it is one that they are very well practiced at now because they do it every day of the week, twice on Tuesdays. The other related issue to the FIFA embarrassment, which is, this is going to be it's going to be a rolling disaster and delight at the same time, because you have the immigration component of this, where you have, masked ICE officers. They were asking yesterday on the news that Homeland Security, whatever the name of the particular branch of DHS that manages airport passport checks, INS, whatever that is. Now on top of it, they have to do testing for Ebola. not a laughing matter. I'm not making light of the fact that many people, you know, the news that we're getting suggests that, 2,000 cases with 300 deaths worldwide. But we're getting reports from, no disrespect, from DRC and Uganda, who Uganda yesterday closed their border with DRC. Uganda, as we reported, not reported, shared, um, uh, last week, I guess it was, or 4 or 5 days ago. Uganda has, DRC has 9 borders. They're a landlocked nation with 9 countries, 8 plus Uganda on their border. And so, how are you going to manage all of those? They have natural resources, but they don't have as sophisticated a border patrol as a major industrialized nation. So, how are you going to control the flow in and out of citizens and non-citizens who may come in contact? And then there's the whole waiting game of incubation period with Ebola, where you can be infected with the disease, with the virus, not show any signs for 14 to 18 days, and then signs will appear, symptoms, and then it presents as a in many different ways, but much like the common flu to begin with, and then can progress rather rapidly. And as we've talked about before, depending on who the particular numerologist you're communicating with, the mortality rate can be in the neighborhood of 40 to 50%. So it's a serious risk. And so all of our airports, we don't have people that are there to be trained to manage that. They're siphoning that through, what is it, through DC, Houston, and one other airport nationally right now. But there are people entering the country all the time legally, and people that got made plans to visit here and perhaps got their visas well in advance of the current level of Trump silliness. Maybe there were people that were planners and they said, this guy's going to truly fuck shit up. So we better get our travel plans booked well in advance. And all of a sudden, are you either going to be inconvenienced in a major way entering, or are they going to miss a whole bunch of people? The answer, of course, is both. Both things are going to happen. Mark Wayne Mullen, the man that took over, the former senator, former plumber, that took over as the head of that organization from Christy Nome is apparently working a very short week every week. He uses that $70 million private plane and shows up on Tuesdays and leaves on Thursdays, and goes back to Oklahoma. So that's great, particularly coming up on the World Cup, because he doesn't really have anything to do. You know, uh, go. Hi, who's there? Oh, Hezbollah, Hezbollah. I don't even know her. So, yeah, you want expertise, and you want people that are dedicated to the mission, and people with half of a fucking brain. And we don't got any of that right now. It is not available in any part of the country, it seems. We have, excuse me, some Boston area participation in the whole FIFA experience in southern Massachusetts, where the uh, frequently where the New England Patriots play is, kind of between Boston and Rhode Island, down that way. I won't be venturing down there because it's not enough attraction for me to go down there and pay that sort of money to watch a game that I only kind of half care about. I mean, of course, it's a great event, If somebody handed me a ticket, would I show up? You know, depends on the weather. Raining, but it's 80 degrees. So what am I? I'm not complaining about any freaking thing. Um, yeah. So the other, we kind of zigged through FIFA. What the other commonality, theme commonality today will be the deal that they struck with our Justice Department. You call it a deal; it is for them the Live Nation deal with ticketing. And there is anti-competitive behavior, meaning monopolistic behavior, and the sanctions that they imposed on that entity is laughable. They hit them with a fine that was essentially 0.5% of annual revenue, which so it's not nothing. But the other conditions of that agreement are that they are capped when you buy ticketing fees. We've all been talking about ticket prices between the World Cup and the Knicks playoff, the Knicks tickets for the NBA playoffs. I, of course, and always will be a Celtics fan. So the Knicks are not, top of my pops or anything, but I love a great sporting event in a game that I actually care for. So I will watch, and I will, OKC, whoever gets through on the Western Conference Finals they're playing tonight. OKC up 3-2, best of seven. So, let's see. We know that the Knicks are getting some rest or having fun or both, hopefully, and they'll be ready to go in their game because it's as the clips that I put up with Mayor Mamdani. It's been a minute since the Knicks have been in contention in the playoffs like this. And I think Mayor Mamdani said that he was 7 years old the last time, which only means it's been 30 years or whatever since the last time they were in it. And the last time the Knicks won the NBA championship, uh, was it Bill Bradley? Was it it was when my Celtics were winning every other year. They got one in the 50s or 60s or something like that. Dave DeBusschere was there. It was quite some time ago. Not quite that long, maybe. But yeah, ticket prices and what the Ticketmaster and Live Nation can do because they don't have there's not enough competition to drive ticket prices down, and they have, deals with the venues. And, it's a very complicated math exercise on how you would break that up and regulate it properly. But the Trump administration, of course, is only interested in how much money they can extort out of it. One of the new rules that they imposed on the parties was that they said, "Oh, my constituents are complaining about the high fees, the add-ons on the ticket price. So you're capped at only, a maximum $15 for any one of those extra fees." Of course, it doesn't stipulate that it's only you're limited to three fees. So they can just stack $15 fees until their little greedy hearts are content. So but that's kind of the way that Trump does business. So he's getting his beak wet. He's getting a taste every place that every organization, every event, every corporation in the United States. He's getting a little taste from each and every one, which adds up really fast. And the ones that he's too tired or ornery or grievance stricken to extort, then his sons can do it for him. And people can send money directly to them using cryptocurrency that isn't traceable. and they can always go to their friend CZ and make sure that it's laundered properly, just like CZ did when he was making funds available for Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad ahead of the October 7th. And Bibi Netanyahu knew about it and still hasn't made public statements about it. And he's coming up on election. So maybe we'll hear something about that from his opponents. That in order to keep himself out of jail, Bibi Netanyahu caused the deaths of many Israeli citizens and soldiers. All the soldiers were citizens, but you get my point. And he did all this while being aware of the financial transfer portal that was funding terrorism, the terrorism that blew up on October 7th, blew up because Bibi Netanyahu and his intelligence apparatus fucked up, and they still haven't taken responsibility for it. All Bibi Netanyahu does, like Trump, is point at somebody else, blame somebody. If Netanyahu could blame Biden for that, he would. Perhaps he has. That seems to be a go-to, or maybe Mr. Middle name Hussein Obama could be blamed for that also. But the ticket thing is interesting in the World Cup tie-in, because if you want to attend one of these World Cup games, particularly in New York or New Jersey, both the attorney generals of New York and New Jersey just filed suit against FIFA in the past few days. Those cases are obviously going to work through the system, and they'll be lucky to be done by the next World Cup in 4 years, and 4 years and 2 weeks. But at least they're pushing back and just saying, you're just banging up our citizens for all of these extra fees and add-ons and false advertising and collusion and all sorts of things. And we're not going to just sit by, so we're going to push back. And everybody knows it's just a matter of getting FIFA into the right forum, one that doesn't have Donald Trump looking over the shoulder, because Trump will pardon, either dismiss the cases or pardon them out of it after the fact, like he does with everything else. So we'll see, but that's a late breaking story. The suits by the states of New Jersey and in New York. It'll be fun. It'll be great. Will people be paying $3,000 for? Well, there'll be people paying if the Knicks get. Let's say that they get into a game 5, 6, 7 situation. It's fucking New York. People have money. The people, so the people that own the properties that Zoran is taxing, thank goodness. But will there be tickets sold for $100,000 for floor seats at a Knicks game in Game 7 or Game 6 against an elimination game in MSG against OKC, whatever? Yeah, yeah, it'll happen. And the same thing with the World Cup is it will be eye watering, and FIFA will be taking a wetting their beak, taking a bite, and then handing every opportunity off to Donald Trump so he can get his little piece. And it'll be surprising if there's a buck and a quarter and a cup of coffee left for everybody else, because there are so many hungry people at the top that are well positioned. And the king can do what kings do. He can make it very uncomfortable for FIFA to anywhere in the world while he's still in power. And they're what FIFA's Zurich based, I guess, but the U.S. still has a lot of juice. And even with Trump, if keep him sweet, keep him happy, make sure he gets paid, and he will make things easy for you. If you anger him, then he will make your life a living hell and send his minions and send pizza. So that's the kind of guy he is. So that's pricing. That's Knicks. That is FIFA World Cup. That is Ticketmaster and Live Nation. And everybody there is getting well paid. Don't you worry yourself at all. They're going to eat just fine. It's just that when we choose to go to a almost any concert venue, they did some other window dressing like that Live Nation Ticketmaster had to reduce the number of venues that they control within a geographic area. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, it's it is performative and to no material effect on the end user, on the consumer, because, like I said, they're not going to hit you with $100 processing fee. They're going to hit you with 10 fees, the name of which are A, B, C, whatever you want. Make up a name, make up a number, and they will do that and not exceed uh, $15. But on the receipt for your purchase, there will be an antelope, a wild boar, and a New York vendor fee, a hot dog fee, and a Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory Grandpa Joe fee. So, where did that come from? That's a golden ticket for those of you keeping score at home. Thank you. Have a beautiful day today. Don't know if I can actually shut this. No, I'm going to do my normal. See, I have this little box that I put together that would provide shade for the camera when the sun comes out, so I can actually see it. The sun won't blow up the contrast on the screen. But when it's raining like an asshole, the one that I had at hand was a cardboard box, sort of cardboardish, and of course that doesn't mix well with rain. So you have to send me back to the engineering school that I never went to. Wishing you all a beautiful day. Kindly restack, retweet, subscribe, tell two friends, and like all that stuff. Thank you very much. I'm going to reach around, if you will, and give you a little view of the delight. Sounds like a neighbor using a piece of yard equipment I better get away from before it destroys your listening pleasure. The, m- Next to my subtle dulcet tones. So thank you and have a beautiful day today.